On the subreddit r/whatisthisthing, a user named R to the Win shared their extremely unsettling discovery with the title, "Found in a cemetery while geocaching. The doll was wrapped in the paper, which was wrapped in the cloth cross and bound with twine. Overall, very creepy." The images attached showed a disturbing looking doll alongside what appears to be handwritten notes. The post immediately caught the attention of countless Reddit users, who were both fascinated and disturbed by the mysterious find. The doll was weathered and stained, and the drawn-on facial features were heavily distorted. The accompanying notes were partially torn up and contained scattered text written with bright red ink, along with cryptid symbols, such as crosses. Reactions to this post ranged from genuine concern to morbid curiosity. Many users started speculating whether this could be a voodoo doll or some sort of effigy used for black magic, while others questioned the OP's choice of picking up and unwrapping the doll in the first place, pointing out how picking up something from the cemetery is simply disrespectful. One particularly chilling comment was left by a deleted user who warned the OP about the risk of the doll or the cloth containing bodily fluids. This perspective was further echoed by several other Redditors, with one comment specifically stating that some rituals do indeed often call for blood, spit, or in some cases even animal parts, emphasizing how this could be a potential health hazard and advising the OP against picking up similar stuff like this in the future. However, the mystery became even creepier when Meow Meow Kitten, a user who claimed to have Mexican heritage, left a comment explaining what the purpose of the doll likely was. "So, I'm originally from Mexico and grew up hearing about different kinds of brujeria. Based on what I can make out of the written note, this is called an amarre entierro, a burial binding. Not sure if it's tied up to Santeria or some other magic-based religion. I'm not knowledgeable about this practice. I only know an entierro is used to curse a person and consists in making a doll representing that person with the damage you want to inflict upon them and burying it in a graveyard." Looks like the second photo of the note gives instructions on how to break the curse. It was too deteriorated to make out, but I can read. "To break the curse burial, you must find 3 crosses, and it will break the curse. You will never do it." Later on, the commenter also added, "I don't know why I'm so invested in this, but I've been deciphering the writings on how to break the curse. It says that Apollonio needs to find the doll, and then bring it to the 3 crosses at the Tabernacle of Exposition of the Holy Spirit. I would suggest putting the doll back, because even if we don't believe in any of this, it might be important to Apollonio." The Redditor pointed out that this appears to be related to brujeria, which roughly translated to witchcraft in Spanish. They identified the situation seen in the post as something called amarre entierro, which is supposedly a burial binding used in curse rituals, which often involves crafting a doll meant to represent the person being cursed, as well as the damage that you wish to inflict upon them. Taking a closer look at the doll once more, this statement might explain both the distorted features as well as the red slit drawn across the doll's neck, probably symbolizing the type of injuries the doll's creator had in mind. Moreover, the commenter also analyzed the handwritten note and was able to decipher parts of what they identified as Spanish text, even revealing the cursed person as somebody named Apollonio. This explanation was further supported by another user, Facho Muchacho, who confirmed that the doll indeed looked like an amarre done to a man called Apollonio Avalos, and recommended that the OP informed whoever was responsible of the cemetery to properly dispose of it. Some other users in this comment thread provided even more insight into the mystery, helping translate more of the Spanish text and revealing some quite vulgar phrases, involving multiple curses targeted towards both Apollonio and his family. These translations further confirm that what the OP likely stumbled upon was an attempt at a burial ritual, making the previous speculations of the doll containing bodily fluids or other human parts even more concerning, as it is true that most of such curses do involve crafting the doll with the hair, nail clippings, or belongings of the intended victim. No matter if you believe in the supernatural aspect of such curses, this find, alongside the explanation behind it, is still inarguably disturbing. Even if rituals like these were just hoaxes, the fact that someone went out of their way to handcraft this creepy-looking doll, as well as write 2 whole pages of some quite heavy and vulgar cursing, all directed towards a specific individual, is chilling, as it clearly shows the extremely negative intent of the person behind all of this. In the end, most of the community agreed that the OP should immediately put the doll back and that they are better off not engaging with anything similar in the future. On the same subreddit as previously, a Reddit user posted this unsettling image with the title, "Found this creepy thing in the garage this morning in Colorado. It is not alive." The photo showed what appeared to be a pale, fleshy, rounded object with reddish markings, almost resembling a skin-colored larvae, something that would make anyone's skin crawl at first glance. Users immediately started offering various theories about what this mysterious and somewhat grotesque object could be. One notable suggestion was that it might be an oak gall, an abnormal growth that can form on oak trees when certain insects lay their eggs around the bark or leaves. Another Redditor also theorized that the rounded thing could potentially be some sort of toy. However, as most other users pointed out, the object in the post does not exactly resemble an oak gall nor a toy. Furthermore, the OP additionally commented that the object had retained the pattern of the carpet that it was picked up from, proving that it couldn't have been made from a hard material such as oak gall or an inorganic toy. This left the mystery still unanswered, until multiple other Redditors provided a more definitive answer. "Saw you over there," one of the top commenters wrote. "Looks like the stomach of a small mammal to me. Got a cat. That's what they typically leave behind after a kill." This explanation was further supported by other users, who shared that it is indeed likely the stomach of some sort of small prey animal, and that their cats often leave similar gifts to them as well. After doing some research myself, it does seem like these comments were correct. The disturbing looking thing fits the exact description of what a rodent's stomach may look like, and a lot of online resources point out that cats do tend to avoid consuming their prey's stomachs due to them being acidic and generally less palatable. Moreover, there are tons of posts about this specific phenomenon on Reddit itself, with people posting pictures of similar gruesome looking objects and asking what is this peculiar looking thing that their cat has brought to them. So what initially appeared to be something sinister and unexplained turned out to have a perfectly natural, although still somewhat unpleasant, explanation in the end. The mysterious object was simply a small animal's stomach, likely left behind by a neighbor's cat after a successful hunt. On the subreddit r/unexplained, a user named Luigi Carbonara posted a video with the title, "Weird sounds that mostly appear in the night, but also sometimes in the evening. It also sometimes varies in interval and pitch, maybe some kind of bird." The footage captured at night in what appears to be a park setting featured an eerie, off-rhythm beeping sound that echoed through the darkness. The beeping pattern was particularly strange. It wasn't the consistent, mechanical sound you would expect from electric devices, but rather something that varied in both timing and pitch, just as the original poster described. This variation made it seem almost organic, yet unlike any other natural sound, which most people would immediately recognize. The fact that it appeared to move or come from different directions only added to the mystery, suggesting either multiple sources or that whatever was producing that sound was constantly moving around. One user commented how they think that the sound is likely man-made, and even suggested that the OP should try to follow it next time they hear it. This does seem plausible, as the sound does somewhat resemble something you would expect to hear from a flute or a whistle. The sound coming from another human would also explain the inconsistent intervals, as well as the fact that the sound was moving, potentially suggesting that it could have been just someone messing around, or perhaps trying to scare the OP. However, the actual truth behind this mysterious beeping was far less creepy. The breakthrough came when several users commented that this is most likely a small owl species called the Scops owl, even providing a YouTube link to demonstrate the similarity. Upon comparing the two recordings, it becomes clear that the mysterious sound that the OP shared was indeed coming from this owl. The comment section of the linked YouTube video was also filled with people who were sharing experiences similar to the OP's, describing how they have been hearing this strange beeping sound and were both baffled and relieved to find out it was actually just a harmless bird. On r/creepy, a Redditor going by the name CC Crown shared an unsettling post titled, "Woke up this morning with a new photo on my phone that was taken last night in my hotel room at exactly midnight. I have no idea what this is." The attached image featured a dark and grainy background with a strange and distorted figure of something in the center. The circumstances of the photo alone already seem eerie enough. The fact that the OP woke up in their hotel room to find this unfamiliar photo on their phone without any memory of taking it is quite disturbing, potentially suggesting that somebody else was inside of their room during the night. Moreover, the picture itself is quite unnerving, although it is hard to make out much of the details. It seems to slightly resemble a disfigured shadowy face that is lurking from behind some sort of wall. Redditors soon began analyzing the photograph, with comments ranging from jokes to genuine confusion. However, some people took a different approach and tried applying filters and increasing the exposure of the photo. Looking at these enhanced images, it becomes quite clear that what the OP's cell phone captured is most likely just a plastic bag, next to what appears to be some type of counter. Other comments pointed out how it could also be bagged up clothing, or perhaps even a bush or a tree outside the hotel room's window. However, the plastic bag theory seems to be the most likely here, as the user under the name DNAgent007 commented, "Turned 90 degrees, looks like the edge of a desk or nightstand, with a wastebasket full of plastic wrap and some loose papers." However, what still remained a mystery was how did this strange picture end up in the OP's camera roll in the first place. To this, several users provided possible explanations. It's very likely that the OP simply woke up in the middle of the night and wanted to check the time, but accidentally clicked a few buttons and ended up snapping the picture either while picking up or putting down their phone. Another explanation would be that perhaps the OP owns a smartwatch connected to his phone, which they simply forgot to take off before heading to bed, and accidentally triggered it to take this eerie picture while turning in their sleep. As multiple commenters on the post pointed out having similar experiences with their devices, In the end, what appeared to be a ghostly face turned out to be nothing more than a plastic bag or some other type of trash under a table, photographed from an unusual angle in poor lighting conditions.